Hello and welcome back to Lawn Association channel. Welcome back to our headquarters here. And welcome back to a rather glorious early April day. And what a bit of weather we've got at the same time. Now today's video is all about giving you a quick update on the little amount of work that we've done and how nature's doing most of that work now for us. So here we are on the 4th of April. Now, I don't know if you remember, but obviously a quick update on this lawn. This is the dog toilet lawn. I'm not quite sure if that's a real term, but it sounds quite good anyway. So we never have done anything to this lawn at all, apart from what we did recently. Now, what we'll just quickly show you is what this lawn looked like on Valentine's Day, 14th of February this year. And a recollection of what this, apart from being a dog lawn, we actually also blew leaves off of these trees here before the snow came down in the winter, and we left them on the ground. We just tried to almost kill the lawn off as best we could. Now, what we have on here are fescue and bent grasses and a little bit of rye, a little bit of smooth stalk, a bit of everything really. We take no interest in this lawn whatsoever. As I say, it's a dog toilet and we treat it and put as much effort in as it actually needs. And lots of people talk about dog friendly lawns. What is a dog friendly lawn? Well, every lawn is a dog friendly lawn, but generally speaking it can be down to normally dog patches. So when you've got a lawn such as this one, if you look at this on the 14th of February, which hopefully will be showing while I'm talking right now, there was an enormous amount of dog patches, and if you come down here you can still see one right now. But what we're slowly getting is some of these grasses on the outside slowly creeping in. So what we did on February the 14th was let the grasses do some work. The sun come out, we put down one application of true grass. Now true grass is very different to most of the fertilizers out there in that it conditions soil at the same time. It's made from, rather than having a polymer coated fertilizer that really just feeds grass, this has got a carrier that's made from a selective composted recycled food waste material, and when they break down, unlike the polymer for example or chalk which break down into nothing, these release humic acids, fulvic acids, amino acids and minerals and vitamins into your soil. So it's a soil conditioner almost as much as it is a fertilizer. So that's the only thing that we've done on here. Then we've just let nature take control. So the big orange ball, as you can see, has come out. The grasses are starting to do what they need to do. And we've literally done nothing apart from mow this lawn, which, as you saw from the picture earlier, 6 weeks odd ago looked absolutely appalling. So all we need to do now is with the right grasses that we've got in here, all we've got to do is keep mowing. And certainly here with our lovely battery powered Stiga mower, all we got to do is keep mowing. So every time we get some growth, you can see at the moment we cut this at about 30 mil, something like that this time of year. Once it starts to get too long, we need to stop the growth from going up, and we do that by mowing. That's one of our pruning techniques. So the more regular we mow, the thicker this is getting. And as you can see in this area here, we pretty much got quite a nice lawn. And don't forget, we've done nothing apart from one feed. So this shows you how traditional native grasses grow. Your rye grasses will always just grow up to the sun, get cut off, go in your compost bin, and then about 4 hours later they'll need mowing again, as we know. These sort of grasses grow this way when you prune them, when we mow them. This is how they grow. This is why the countryside is all covered in beautiful grass without anybody mowing it. So what we've essentially done is let nature take control of this lawn. So now when we looked at this lawn in the February the 14th, for example, we could have looked at it and gone, oh my God, we need to overseed, we need to top dress, we need to do this, we need to do that. Look at what the grass has done. Now, what we've actually achieved, or what True Grass has actually achieved here, it's minimalised what work we actually need to do. So we've got a couple of little patches here that we could put some seed and soil down in quite easily. Even this area over here that was just like a mud bath a little while ago, the actual amount of area that we've got to worry about is getting smaller and smaller because we've let the grasses do what they do. Now if you come up here again, there was a big patch of dying grass caused by this little doggy over here, but now the patches are very small, so the amount of work we've got to do is even smaller than it was before. So when it comes to learning about lawns, the best thing you can ever understand is that nature and the right grass species is going to do most of the work for you. So if you're becoming a slave to your lawn and it still doesn't even look as good as this, which is a dog lawn, a dog toilet, then maybe you should be thinking about changing your grass species over to fescue bents and let nature do the work for you. Right, so apart from a gorgeous cat, we're now going to take a quick walk up into the slightly wilder part of our garden. Yes, you can have a look at my vegetable patch, which still looks absolutely appalling. You can stop and have a look at my bit of annual meadow grass there, still looking a bit different than it did last time. Now remember, this this area is just mown, there's nothing done to this at all, apart from, again, we've got some quite nice grasses out here, fescues and bents again, which when this gets growing, and of course we don't even feed it, it does thicken up quite nicely again. So the grass is doing all the work. You will notice my lovely pond has got some water in. It's also got some lilies in as well. But if you're a pond expert, please don't judge me. I'm not a pond expert. I have an opinion on ponds, but I'm not an expert. It very much goes for lawn care, doesn't it, as well? Anyway, if you recollect on some of the other videos, one of the things that we're doing on this again is just trying to utilize what's already growing and trying to enhance it. We don't do any work out here normally, but if you recollect, we had a process of trying to enhance these grass beds, which are very dominant in grass, with some wildflower. And if you look at the wildflower video that's probably in the link, I would say that, but whether it is, I don't know. We overseeded this with a lovely wildflower mix from those kind people called the grass people, and I'd say within days we probably got some very, very good germination. And if you come down here, you can see there's absolutely tons of germination in here. But one of the other things that we can see also is that where we didn't hit the grass hard enough, we've also got the grass growing back. And this is, as we pointed out in the previous videos, this is sort of doomed for mini disaster. But again, you learn from that, and that's what we're trying to do with this. We've got the most competitive grass species to give you a beautiful lawn, don't get me wrong, but to grow wildflower within it, it's a very, very difficult situation, and we'll learn a bit more about that in a month or two's time when this is all hopefully growing. But if you look at this grass here, which is about a good 6 inches long already, this was obliterated in February, and it's already 6 inches long. If you look over here at the grass growing over here, this little bit here, for example, don't ask me why, that's almost 2 foot long. So grass is growing extremely well, especially when you've got natural grasses growing in a natural habitat as well. So And you can see that all the way up here where we didn't do anything at all. We've got 6 to 8 inches up here. We've still got some patchy grass in here, which is good, and there's lots of wildflowers germinating in there, but we will have to wait and see obviously what appears. But even in here we've got 3 to 4 inches in places of germination, not germination, I beg your pardon, of grass that's going to compete against that. Now this is the plan was to try and get a mixture, so it's not a wildflower haven on its own. We would have had to kill everything off to do that. This is to try and blend wildflowers in here to get a little bit more wildlife, a little bit more for the butterflies and everything. So it's a dual mixture, we hope. So we'll obviously come back to this in a few more weeks and see where we are then. But at the moment we've got lots of germination and everything's looking reasonably good. So here we are on the next lawn. Now, a little bit of the history of this, apart from welcome to Hedwig. My daughter's a Harry Potter fan, so it had no other choice of being anything but Hedwig. I'm going to turn Hedwig off for a moment. So, to give you an update on this lawn, this was a rye fescue lawn, and it's got these ground source heat pumps underneath here, which make this lawn swell up about here. It shrinks down here, it swells up again down here. You may not be able to see it, but then it drops down again here. And as the weather dries, all gets wet, it moves up and down, and it's a very difficult lawn to maintain really nicely. But as you can see with the little robot mower that we've got, it's a convenience lawn. You know, it's not trying to be anything other than what it can be. Now, to improve this lawn, we were going to, as part of the training modules we've got coming up later on in the year, what we were going to do was do sort of 4 or 6 different sections on here. So we were going to have a nice fescue bent lawn, we were going to have a rye fescue lawn, we were going to have something like a clover mix lawn, a dual clover mix lawn, which is quite exciting from the grass people. I have to say that sort of excites me a little bit. We were going to have a pure fescue lawn, we were probably going to try a pure rye, and then we might just use the last one for something else. So it looked like a patchwork quilt, but we've put that back on hold until early autumn at the moment. So we're just going to carry on with this lawn as it is. Now it's received no feed. We've got rye and fescue still in here. You can see these little patches of rye, these little clumps here. You've got quite a lot what we call crowning of ryegrass, where it does this, sort of almost flattens like a pancake, I suppose. Don't want to talk about rye full stop, but I'm certainly not going to talk about crowning when most people probably haven't even seen it, because most people rely on reseeding, and that's one of the reasons people do reseed with rye. When it crowns, it becomes a very, very ugly plant indeed. So all we're going to do to this, probably just to sort of enhance it for the next few months, we haven't decided quite yet, but we might just try and top dress it, because it really did get hammered in terms of surfaces. So we may just put a small amount of top dressing after we've scarified it, to allow the soil to bed in and sort of smooth and firm it up. But we're not going over the top by any stretch of the imagination. It's a lawn cut by a robot mower that is just a normal garden, so we can make it look a little bit better, quite nicely, but without going down that obsessive route that many ryegrasses obviously do. So we'll probably punch some holes in it, hollow tine it, get some air in there and decompact the surface a little bit, and then for the rest of the year we'll just sort of keep it as it is. We'll let the mower put the food back in over the course of the next 3 or 4 months, And as I say, we may just sort of make it improve a little bit just to get through the next few months, so ready for when we either kill it off or just strip it off and start again with a new lawn. So that's the update on this one. A little bit exciting, but nothing nothing imminent as we speak, apart from the little bit of renovation. So here we are on, I call this the garden designer lawn, mainly because obviously it was designed by a garden designer, and it shows some flaws that a lot of garden design lawns, I feel, would probably be in similar condition, and that is where we're using a grass which, when the sun comes out, it's absolutely fine. It grows vertically, goes very quick, goes very green, very lush, and can obviously look quite lovely for about 4 or 5 months a year. But when you get drainage problems, as you can see down here, what you essentially have got or haven't got is many plants per square meter, and when you get a drainage issue like we have here, where the water all runs down here, and this gets very boggy, and obviously it's used by dogs quite a lot. Although we've got patches that look okay, some bits better than others. This lawn again doesn't get used that much, and it doesn't require very much in terms of what it's trying to achieve. Now, last summer we had lots of grass burn off, as you can see in here. This now has been filled with annual meadowgrass and thistles, and even bits of wildflower down here. We've got little bits of fescue populating up here, but not very much and not a very healthy lawn. So it's always going to be a problem lawn for us. But one of the things that we will try and do, and again, we're not trying to gain perfection, we're trying to teach how you learn. And sometimes you set yourself up for failure because you learn from that, and it's obviously something that we're trying to show on videos, that some things don't work or won't work. Now, one thing we can guarantee with our climate over here in the UK is that we know that if we scarify this and top dress and overseed, it'll come up quite nice. It's not rocket science. When people keep showcasing these on YouTube channels and such like, it's like they've reinvented the wheel. It's not. We can see from the lawn over there that nature actually does most of it. Nature germinates your grass seed. You just put it down. It's not a skill that should be really having too much of a badge of honor, because nature does 99% of it. So what we're going to do in here, and what we've learnt in here, and you know, although I criticize ryegrass, it does hang around. It hung around last summer quite well. Fescue's burnt off because it got so hot. And this one obviously has got the contradiction of the two. Ryegrass likes a lot of food, it likes a lot of water, and it likes a lot of overseeding. You've got then fescue, which doesn't like a lot of water, doesn't require often a lot of overseeding. But again, we've got a lawn here, this is what you'd call a problem lawn, where turf growers, for example, throw you the two probably most unusual grass species in some sense together. One that's a drought tolerant, one that's heavy wear, heavy fertilizer, heavy watering sort of grass. And if you go one way or the other, that grass species will be the one that actually is going to dominate your lawn. So if you make this very, very dry, your fescues will survive and your ryegrasses will slowly disappear. But as you can see with ryegrasses, although they look great when it's growing like this, there still aren't many plants per square meter. And what that essentially means is you haven't got much happening underneath in terms of your root systems either. So what we're going to do, and thanks very much again to the grass people for this, they've supplied us with some mixtures that we're going to throw at a few different lawns and see what we get. Now with this lawn, all we're going to do with this is hollow tine aerate it. We're then going to pulverize those cores up. We may put a little bit of sandy top dressing down, might do. We'll wait and see what it comes up like first. And then we're going to put perhaps 2 different grass species. Now they'll be quite similar, but we want to see if there's any difference in the two of them. Whether we split it down the middle, we haven't quite decided yet, because it's got different issues. This has obviously got a tree issue, we've got shade issue over there, we've got drainage issue over there, but we may just sort of go down the middle and then see what happens. We know that grass will grow with the right conditions, but it's how it actually survives 6, 12 months, 18 months down the line, because that's what good lawn care is about. It's not about having a reseed and being able to reseed and germinate grass seed every year. It's actually good lawn care, proper lawn care, is actually about letting the grass do the work for you rather than you do the work for it. So this will be happening very soon. So let's wander through and quickly, my little putty cat again. Excuse the mess, and excuse the broken pillar. I'm sure nobody from Yodel watches this, but Yodel snapped my gate off and said it wasn't them. Lovely company. Anyway, if we come on to these two lawns, now firstly, we're just not going to talk about this one too much because we don't technically do anything to it, which after last summer shows quite a reasonable lawn. It's not green, it's not, well, it is green, it's not lush dark green, it's not cut with a cylinder mower, it's not a lawn that a lot of people would say is stunningly beautiful, but we just mow it. We don't weed kill it, we don't fertilize it, we don't do anything else to it. But it goes to show, and there are swathes of lawns all over the UK with this sort of grass mixture where lawn care is very, very easy. Now, if we come over to this lawn, which is, if you have seen any of our videos, you'll know that this is the lawn that we sometimes showcase some work on. And if I'm honest, if we go back a bit, you can see at this present time, doesn't look particularly good. But equally, we haven't put anything down on this or done any work at all since spring, February last year. So this has had nothing. Now, this burnt off because of the tree during the summer and obviously the lack of watering as well, and it's a turning circle for my ride-on mower, which is not a great piece of lawn care. But again, you know, we're not into show lawns necessarily. We could make this a beautiful show lawn if we chose to. We may do that at one point, but what you'll see with here, we've got beautiful bits of bent grass. You can see some of these stolons creeping out now. Look, they're starting to move. And what we've actually got in this area, although we've got some awful bare areas and to some the awful sort of weeds in here, what we've actually created in some respects is a nice seed bed for grass species to go in there. Now, if you look at this end, it is literally one of the smaller areas, and we've got 50%, maybe sort of 40% grass cover as it stands, doing nothing in 12 months and after a very, very severe drought. So what we're going to do on this lawn is just give it a very light scarify, that's all. But again, what we're going to do in terms of grass species is put the grass species back in here that's already here. And this is fescue and this is bent all over here. It's an old property. We've got no moss in here, not that I can see. There's plenty of weed, that's fine. But what we're going to do is show you just a way to continue with the same grass species. All we're going to do is scarify it very lightly, create a teeny little seed bed. We're not going to top dress it because bent seeds are very, very small, and they can sit in the grooves, and that's deep enough for them to be. But we're just trying to grow what already has grown here. The problem of the drought is not caused by the grass seed. It's not going to be fixed by putting a heavy wear grass down either. That won't simply work. When a plant dies, it can be either due to its being very, very old, which then during a period of stress can make it die, just like us, just like humans. But essentially it's down to the environment. And last summer, some of these sort of weak plants in here just didn't have enough to come back. But as you can see, we've got a percentage coming back in. And bearing in mind, this is 12 months. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it looks great, but again, this is trying to show you that a small amount of intervention is enough sometimes. So here we are on April the 4th. We're going to be scarifying this in the next few days just to sort of clean out some of that material. We're going to put in, we're not putting any herbicide down, we don't do that here, but they'll get sliced up obviously with the scarifier, and then we'll put the bent grass mixture. We may even go with a pure bent in here, or certainly a bit of it, and we'll see what happens. But again, this is minimal lawn care, but with exceptional results, and that's the skill with lawn care, is when you do a lot of work and you're still having to go back every single year, maybe sometimes once or twice, and you're still doing the same thing, somewhere along the line you should be learning that that's actually not particularly good, and it's certainly not a sustainable feature. Good lawn care, perfect lawns, are about the right grass species grown in the right environment, and that's what we have here, certainly on these grasses, except obviously this little worn out area. So come back or certainly look at our next video, and where we'll be renovating this. There won't be tons of work, I'm afraid, because, as I say, good lawn care is about letting the grass do the work. So if you have liked the video, please do hit that like and subscribe button. Feel free to comment. We love your comments. Lots of people are bamboozled by fescue bent grass. There's a lot out there that's untrue about it. You can see on here, this is a lawn. Yes, the plants have died off, but there's no thatch, certainly not heavy layers of thatch. These are all grass plants that have died off from last year. So when people read that fescue bent is a thatchy grass, it really isn't. You know, you need to learn. This sort of grass is what bowling greens are made of. So if you really do want to be a lawn obsessive, fescue bents are by far the better grass you should be using. So anyway, come back to us with some comments. Great to talk, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon in the next video.